Hello, viewers, and welcome to Radio Dwarka. We're going to talk about a new fund that's launched by Nippon India called the Nippon India Taiwan Equity Fund. It's a very interesting fund, and it's an international fund that we want our viewers to know about it. So today we have with us Rajesh Jayaraman. He's the Deputy Product Head, Product Management, and we're going to ask him about this fund. So this is an NFO. It was launched on the 22nd of November, and it is open up to the 6th of December. So I'm going to start my discussions with Rajesh. Rajesh, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
अगर हम बात करें, India ने काफी growth देखी है. The stock markets have seen quite a lot of growth in the last 1 year, and we are seeing good returns. So what makes Nippon think about funds which are international?
So there's no doubt that Indian growth trajectory could be much better going forward. हमने देखा है कि जो recent past में जो policy support हुआ है इंडिया के अंदर, उसके बाद the earnings for corporates have been very, very good. Demand is coming back reasonably good. So our own belief is fundamentally India is poised for a reasonable growth period going forward. But what is more important from an investment perspective, from an investor's perspective, is diversification. And therein, it's always been an attempt from our side. Like, for instance, we have covered geographies like US and Japan in the past. So we think diversification into international markets also is of essence, because all of us understand the importance of asset allocation, which talks about investing in assets जो एक दूसरे से जुड़े हुए नहीं हैं, थोड़े different हैं. So it helps you to deal with different kind of marketplaces. So it's from that thought process that we said Taiwan could be an interesting destination. Obviously, there are some unique features of Taiwan also, which makes it an interesting proposition. So for us, Taiwan, Japan, US funds which we offer, all of them give an international diversification for our Indian investors.
When we read about this equity NFO that's there, the Taiwan equity NFO, we hear the tagline as grow with Taiwan, right? And you mentioned that Taiwan already has some unique points. So if you could let us know, कौन से वो points है that will help us grow with Taiwan?
Taiwan, I'm sure most of us would have been reading about Taiwan quite a bit in the recent past, because today the worldwide there is a shortage of chips, or technically called semiconductors, which are the key ingredient for any technology today. So starting with something which is very basic, like a consumer durable item, ACs, refrigerators, and going to very complex stuff like the diagnostic machines we have on the healthcare space, even defense, fighter planes, or the high performance computing, cloud computing, for instance. So all these areas, apart from telecom and computers, which we can easily associate chips with, all these areas, there's a great requirement for chips or semiconductors. And the demand has grown exponentially in the pandemic era. So today, all of us are used to work from home, learn from home, in fact, shopping from home. So everything is happening via the technology media. So that needs the intelligent system, or the driver of this entire technology is the semiconductors or chips. And therein, Taiwan has a very unique place. It commands 52% of the global market share when it comes to contract manufacturing of chips. So that tells you the scale of Taiwan in this particular area is very, very huge. Even historically, we have known Taiwan as a fairly strong economy market when it comes to electronic manufacturing. So they dominate this particular aspect. And therein, we believe the next age of the technology which is going to come up, like the 5Gs of the world, the electric vehicles, the artificial intelligence, and all this stuff would require even more advanced technology, wherein Taiwan already has built-in capabilities. So they are leaders when it comes to manufacturing of chips. They dominate this by a big margin. In fact, it's estimated that over 65% of the global revenues out of chip manufacturing is housed in Taiwan. So Taiwan boasts of a lot of capabilities in that particular aspect. So for somebody who believes that technology will be a big part of our lives, even bigger than what it is today going forward, we believe Taiwan provides a very interesting opportunity. Again, the uniqueness comes from the fact that this market and the capability which they have built in is not something which can be easily replicated or duplicated by other countries. So it will take long time, and also technology keeps evolving. So we believe there's a big edge which Taiwan has created over these years.
Yeah, so that's nice. So when we look at investment, in this, what do you think is going to be Nippon's strategy, while investing? Because
Right.
as I understand, this fund is going to be purely like an equity fund, focusing on the Taiwan stock exchange and the Taipei stock exchange. But we have like a possibility of up to 20% even in the debt and money market, right? So what's the investment strategy around it?
Right. So a couple of parts. So one, just like as I mentioned, we manage already a couple of international strategies, wherein we follow a similar strategy which you want to do for the Taiwan Equity Fund also, is that we will be investing directly into the stock markets there. So we'll invest directly into Taiwanese stocks. But to support us from our investment research part, we have done an arrangement or a tie-up with Cathay Side, which is Cathay Side Asset Management, which is one of the largest asset managers out of Taiwan. So they will help us with our investments. So they will give us the research support, and basis that we will go ahead with our investments. So we believe the Cathay Side has got a lot of expertise. They have got 20 years plus experience into the asset management business there, and they've been running similar strategies, and which is what we would try and incorporate into our portfolio as well. So it will be a very diversified kind of portfolio. At the same time, we will focus on high quality names, high conviction kind of bets. So about 30 to 40 stocks is what we endeavor, and not more than 10% into single stock. So you could see reasonable amount of diversification as well.
Another thing that I'd just like to understand from you is like, this is a pure equity fund, right? And equity mein hamesha high risk hota hai, right? So as an investor, what are the risks that I have to keep in mind other than being like a pure equity fund? What else in an international fund that I need to know, or I need to evaluate?
So, as you rightly said, the asset class of equity has volatility irrespective of what geography it comes from. So even if it's a very developed market, it's an emerging market, which is also reasonably developed like what Taiwan is, or it's like India. Any of these markets, you will see volatility associated with equities. When it comes to Taiwan, हो सकता है कि दो तीन सवाल इन्वेस्टर्स के माइंड में है, खास करके जो मीडिया से जुड़े हुए हैं या सोशल मीडिया में काफी दिख रहते हैं इसके बारे में. So one of the news flow which keeps happening is Taiwan's relationship with China. So China is the bigger neighbor. In fact, China believes Taiwan is part of their own country, even though Taiwan has a separate elected government and all. So that pressures or the diplomatic tussle keeps happening between them. So just to answer that in a very brief way, that is not a big concern if you ask us, because at least basis our limited understanding, we have seen this challenge being there for quite a long time. In fact, last 70, 80 years plus, these pressures have been there on the political front. Despite that, Taiwan has grown and scaled up to such a big extent that today it is almost a developed market in a lot of parameters and not really an emerging market. So the belief is even going forward, both the countries will find a way to work together. And there are a lot of dependencies. For instance, Taiwan's biggest trading partner is China, and China also requires a lot of technological know-how from Taiwan when it comes to the advanced kind of technology which we are discussing. So given that there's a lot of interdependence between these two countries, and also Taiwan today, as I said, is the global hub for the semiconductor manufacturing. Already हम देख रहे हैं कि जो सेमीकंडक्टर में कमी है विश्व भर में, उसका कितना बड़ा इम्पैक्ट है हर एक अलग अलग क्षेत्रों में अलग अलग सेक्टर्स. Correct. So even the world would not want Taiwan to be under any kind of political instability. So even the world leader, the global leadership, we believe, will come together and try and find out a solution for that. दूसरा एक कंसर्न हो सकता है स्पेसिफिक टू ताइवान, इज कि हम बोल रहे हैं कि ताइवान इतना एडवांस्ड है टेक्नोलॉजी में, आगे चलते हुए भी टेक्नोलॉजी की जो ग्रोथ एंटिसिपेटेड है, basis that the growth possibilities for this economy remain reasonably good. So what could happen, because all of us are seeing कि टेक्नोलॉजी आगे भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रहने वाले हम सब की जिंदगी में और द एंटायर ग्लोबल पर्सपेक्टिव से, तो क्या दूसरे कोई कंट्री अपने सेमीकंडक्टर प्रोडक्शन कैपेबिलिटीज को स्केल अप नहीं कर सकती है? Can't they also become large, aim to become large and possibly eat into Taiwan's market share? There are two reasons, two important aspects which people need to keep in mind. The first of it is the entry barrier is quite high तो जैसा एक सेमीकंडक्टर जो मैन्युफैक्चर करती है वैसा फैक्ट्री को सेटअप करने के लिए इट टेक्स एनीवेयर बिटवीन 2 to 3 years और इवन मोर। काफी सारे इन्वेस्टमेंट्स भी लगती है, एनीवेयर बिटवीन $10 to $30 billion इस के आसपास इन्वेस्टमेंट भी चाहिए। बट मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली ये सब भी मान लो कि हो जाता है इन टर्म्स ऑफ मनी सपोर्ट एंड कमिंग इन, इज यू नीड skilled manpower which is not easily available. So that puts Taiwan at a very, very unique space. And also the more advanced technology, the market dominance of Taiwan is very, very significant. In fact, there are very few countries capable of making the new age kind of chips which go into the next level of technology of 5Gs and so on and so forth. And therein Taiwan has a very big presence. So all this puts them in a very unique spot. Our own belief is that it gives a good diversified play because जो end use semiconductor का जैसे मैं पहले बता रहा था, it is across almost 160, 170 industries. So the end use is very, very diverse. And we think the need for technology will only get accelerated as we go forward. And therein Taiwan's uniqueness would remain. Also, one more interesting fact is Taiwan से हम कोई बड़ी brand का नाम नहीं सुनते, and that has been the key USP for this particular country. They are good at customization. So they manufacture for a lot of the world-known leaders, Apples of the world. They do a lot of work for these kind of big technological players, and they are built this largely because they are not into any kind of competition with these technology majors. So that again puts them in a very unique kind of advantage. So we think it's a good opportunity for diversification perspective. Fundamentally, there is a lot of merit in this particular play. So investors can consider this as a part of their overall asset allocation.
Thanks, Rajesh, for your time. It was really valuable to have you here. And हमारे investors को इस NFO निपॉन इंडिया ताइवान इक्विटी फंड के बारे में काफ़ी चीज़ें पता चली होंगी। एंड जैसे आपको मैंने बताया, ये फंड 22 नवंबर को खुला था और 6 दिसंबर तक ओपन है एज द NFO पीरियड। इसमें आप मिनिमम 500 रुपीज से इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं एंड इसको अपने 1 रुपए से आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं। There is no entry load into the NFO. So if you're invested into the fund for more than 3 months, then there is no exit load. But if you plan to exit prior to that period of 3 months, then there will be an exit load of 1%. So as we've already said, before making any of your investments, it's advisable to consult with your financial advisor and understand about this diversification. But this fund is actually targeted to focus for long-term capital growth and to help investors in terms of diversifying their portfolio into international markets. So thanks once again to Rajesh, and thank you to all our viewers, and we look forward to bringing to you such programs and stay connected with Radio Dwarka.
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन होते हैं। निवेश से पहले योजना संबंधी सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यानपूर्वक पढ़ लें।